Simin Kuf Chof Sif Daled Loichtevenu Asofer Loyachnu Hoedim Ashyomelem Habal Lichto Velachto. There has to be a direct communication between the husband and the sofer and the Eidim. Fine. And if Shyomelem Habal Yichtavu Hem Be'atzmo, so Yomelachem Lichto Velachto. Doesn't work that way. I feel Omer Bezdin Tnu Get Liishti. Lo Yomru LaSofer Lichtov V'Le'edim Lachtom. V'afilu Omer Imru LaSofer V'Yichtavu Le'edim V'Yachtom. Lo Yichtav LaSofer V'Yachtom Ha'edim Ad Sheyishmu Mipiv. So, it's a famous din. Mili L'Mem Shon L'Shliach. Omer Imru doesn't work. Fine. Ova v'girshay the Omer Imru the sofer v'yichtov sofer megureshes. That's a machlokas in the Rishonim and how to pass in that shaila. At best, it's a sofer megureshes. Fine. The Berheiter says over here, v'omer lehem shehem yitnu v'hem yatzam Amru the sofer kepatum and atorah l'chuli alma. Omer Imru is a sofek, is a shaila. Sif hey, I feel the kosa b'chsav yodo la sofer sheyichtov. V'le'edim sheyachtemu, lo yichtavu, v'lo ad sheyishmu mipiv. Ben shu pikeach, ben shenishtatek, ben shemishdaber ve'eno shomea, ben she'eno shomea v'lo medaber. V'yesh machshirim, v'mi shenishtatek, lichtov v'lachno apiksav yodo, sheyichtov l'sofer, ksov le'edim, chasomu, yichtov l'sofer, ksov le'edim chasomu, this is a background. We're starting with Kuf Chav Sif Daled and Sif Hey. Comes to Pischei Tshuva. Ein b'tshuvas agon marim padva mi brisk. Lehakal b'makam igun godol. Isha achas mi brisk. Shabal anosel l'merchakem. Apirov v'shtalas isigun b'chtovim me'arav shabalu sham. Who built the Evshel Sadek Sham Get, Zulu Shiyichtov B'Ksav Yodo Le Brisk, Le Sofer, Le Eidim Shiyichtov Gev Yachtov Yitnu Lishto. Mokam Ikun Godol, found the Mekilin B'Ksav Yodo, Kam Pikeach. There's no such din. It's not found in Shulchan Aruch. But he went beyond the Shulchan Aruch. Where did he get it from? They get Poshut. Shehiskim Alocha LeMaisa Shebemokam Dochak V'Ikun Shelo Tilo Chas V'Sham Takona Kol Yomea. Yeshizbal al dasa mekilim. Many Rishonim were not found in the Beis Yosef or Mekel, even though it's not even found in Shulchan Aruch. Odim tzitakona. She told that Rav over there. Sheterem sheyichtov abal b'chsav yodo. Yom abal peh shememane es hasofer ploni v'edav ploni u'ploni lichtov v'lachtam avuro. Uvezeh shlenosah lismach al dasa rov aran sof perek HaOmer. Tells you where to find it in Dap Yerifus. We'll open it up. Hecha de memana shliach shel b'fanav de moel ve'ein ze Omer Imru. Omer Imru means I'm appointing you. You should appoint him. But if I appoint him directly, just shel b'fanav, that's better than Omer Imru. The Beis Yosef koshlo Amru rak halacha v'lo l'maaseh. But Sonik Gadol Achronim Arashal Yam Shel Shlomo Yeshizbal Das Harav Aron Halacha l'maaseh. Period. Even Omer Imru itself, the Marshal wants to be Mekel V'Mokom Igun. That's a big chiddush based on a Tosis. Wow. Because it says, Iname Zimnin Teyosek and Afil Lechatchila Komashas Atchak. Kamer Shon Mekilim Ganke Bezeh. Chuas Beis Ephraim. Chuas Agon Begin Shlomo. Mokom Igun. Here, Memana Shtichus Ba'Pesh Lo B'Fonov. Das Harav Aran. It's better than Imru. Period. There are those who don't like it. There's not a tzad lahakel. Hechashem mitzave b'chsav yodo dish ploni esofer shelo ploni chasima. Because the betzir of shneim nuchal lismoch lasos ma'isa lagel b'makom igam. Do not talk on otherwise. Ad kan l'ma'isa tzorach in Rav b'kibbutz chachamim. This idea of the of the Marimi Brisk, a beautiful idea, but he wants to know, so can you really rely upon it? It's based on Tzirufei Shitas. Tzirufei Shitas. He throws in Shitas which are not found in Shulchan Aruch, that Omer Imru is really good in a pinch. He also quotes a Shita that we should read it from the Ran inside. It's a very important Shita. The Ran, it's referred to. It's always referred to the same way. The Ra'ah v'Haran. Gittin Lamed Gimel, Amud Beis, and Amud Aleph and Dap Arif. Omer Imru, V'Ra'azal, is cautious against his Rebbe, the Ramban, and he says this, the Yesod, that if I say, Akacham at the Kaposer of Yosef, Omer Imru, should Mila Mislam Shliach, Kol Shabal Mamana Sofa V'Edim Shlo B'Fnei Mahani. The poster of Yosef Omer Imru Midatchem, because Mila Mislam Shliach. That's the famous Ran in the Ra'ah. Am I on? Okay, as it's quoted over here. So far, so good. This is the famous Marimi Brisk. Fine. It's interesting. The question becomes, does everyone agree or those disagree? The question in general becomes, well, what's wrong with a Minush Lo B'Fonav, which presumably works in Kol HaTorah Kula? Why shouldn't it work over here if it doesn't work? We'd like to think that it works, but there are those who clearly disagree. So, the Pri Chodesh talks about this at some length. At great length, I should say, looking through the pages. Ooh. Sif Tezayin in Pri Chodesh. Sif Kotten Tezayin, some call it. Goes through the whole sugya. And he quotes the Ramban. The Ramban is a machmer. And the question becomes, why? What's wrong? Why shouldn't it work? Says the Ramban, it's quoting over here. Shani get. The keva and the beina and the Lishmah ubeina nami v'kosav lo klo mashiach tevenu lo habal ein asof avedim b'mokam habal neksheshamu hei mipiv aval b'shar dvarim also adam shliach shlo b'fonav. B'kitzur, it's a unique din only by the ksiva saget. And the question, of course, becomes, why? You need Lishmah, you need v'kosav lo, quotes it over here. Okay? You have to hear it from him directly. So according to the Ramban, Omer Imru is a good minui. It works by matana. The Ran and the Ra'ah say it's not a good minui. It wouldn't work for a matana. Everyone following me? It goes together. Let's take a look at what the Mefarshim of the Shulchan Aruch have to say for this very thorny halacha. So we have a Beis Shmuel, Sivkot and Zayin. Amru l'sova v'kosav haget batel l'chuli alma. If someone else wrote it, even if he told him to write it, so the mili l'mesan l'shliach to lo amar lehem imru lo. Aval kosul v'yatzma v'imru le'edem v'chismu near the end I get batel l'posel lo gora me'em chosu edem psulim the kaimlan I get posel. Okay, I'm sorry, I read it wrong. If the person who spoke to the husband wrote the get, it's only after the Eidim, that's a derabbanah. Fine, that's a derabbanah. Good. With all remember there are many days. Some say it gets bottle. Ksimas a get. Again, ksimas is a distraction. Get finished. Yes, Omer, Salam Megoreshes. Yes, Omer, it's derabbanah. Fine. Omer Imru l'sofer pelot b'shmi sheyichtov. The Ra'ah and the Ra and say it's kosher. Shul lo b'fonav. The Ramban I get bottom with the rice of the chsiv. The kosav. The ein asof omer b'mekomo and can shema mipiv. Now, this is a short version. We read the Ramban. Ramban says it's not only the kosav, it's also a question of Lishmah. Because he goes into town here, the Shmuel. Wait. Masha the Sfira to be in Shlichus V'Ksivas again. Yeah. So therefore it's going to be not a problem. Because the kosav goes on the sofa, not on the Baal. But the problem is he left out the first half of the Ramban. It's a matter of the Shema. So that's why the Beis Shmuel was a little bit more too lenient, Pashtus, because he left out that half a line is read to you from the Ramban, led him to a more lenient conclusion. It's interesting, as Rabbi Kivega talks about it as well. Mada Nogan Beis Shmuel HaEzer Paman Mechad Estam having the Rabbanon based on Teosos and Erev and Daf Yud Gimel. Eino Kain. Tosos Kosu Kain Rakla Mada Sofer of Papa Af Mada Sofer Ein Megilton Niksheru Lashkas Sota Cheres Moda B'Sefer Torah. The Starech Loma de Beget having the Rabbanon. But if you pass otherwise, it could be a Daraisa, as Tosos suggests over there. So the others have been Daraisa, but Laget Ven Choshin Law. Okay. Detail, but without Rabbi Kivega, he left out Adil Lishmah. So now we come Halacha Lamaisa. What do you do? So we have what do you do? You have the Marimi Brisks, but you need Tzarachi and Kibbutz Chachamim. There's one Chacham who wasn't happy with it at all. There was a Chazon Ish. He was very unhappy with this. In Siman Pei Gimel, Sivkot and Tezvav, he explains Pshat in the Ramban. And the first half, the Beis Shmuel is talking about the deal. The second half is more technical. That's what he comes out to make as the Rabbanim. What's the first half? Pischei Tshuva Sivkon Yudches L'Hakalim Shalech Savyad L'Edim V'Sofer. Chorin Nira the Davke B'Moser Abal B'Yasam L'Sak Savyad Hu Plukas HaPoski. I give him the Savyad. Shalech Ayadei Acherim. The Apostle L'Das Ramban. L'Havi Rakim B'Mana Shluchim B'Shalom B'Fneim. The Ran say good, not the Ramban. To Olam, his typical Chazon Ish poetry to explain it in the Shittas Ramban. To the Olam beinan sheyis achdu ritzon habal ritzon hasofer v'oedim b'sho achas. Little poetry. V'sheyeda habal meritzon hasofer v'hasofer yeda meritzon habal v'akol yeh b'rega achas. Uv'lav hachi. He focused on the first half of the Mish of the Ramban.
The Chazon is just saying that case wouldn't be Lishmah from the Ramban.
Correct.
The Mishmah might be saying, "What's the lack of Lishmah?" He told him to write it. What more Lishmah do you need than that?
I'm no tinus, but the Beis Shmuel did leave out one phrase in the Ramban.
Because he thought you had Lishmah.
Right, but the Ramban did say.
If you redefine Lishmah like Chazon Ish,
I understand, but I'm saying, but however you define it, the Chazon Ish against Chazon Ish, but Ramban did say Lishmah, which the Beis Shmuel seems to gloss over because he doesn't quote that line, which is a problem, obviously. Fine. The Dasar of Aran to Mekilim and Mamanish Lebefonov. Nem Bezeya told Plukas Aposkim B'Shloach Savyodo. Yeah, this Ramban says. Fine, good. So therefore, he's not at all happy, as we can have a face from here, on the Pischei Tshuva. We'll get to that a little bit later. Okay, this Rabbosai is what the Chazon Ish says. Now let's take a look on the Ramban proper. Baruch Hashem, we have a Ramban. We even have a new version of the Ramban, where everything is explained by Arichus, with the good footnotes on it as well. We see the footnotes are important because it tells us certain things which we possibly wouldn't have known without them. Watch this. Ev Shalomar, Shani get the cave of the Bina Lishma, Ubeina Nami v'kosav abal. He quotes two phrases. Says the footnote 204. Ken kosav Rabbeinu b'daf chav gimel, uve'igros Moshe, Even HaEzer, Simikuf Yuzayin beer, the HaTorah chiva rak es abezdin laha'am and l'shnei edim. אבל בני אדם בעסקיהם הפרטיים אינם חייבים להאמין. ואפשר שהסוף לא יאמין לעדים שהבעל ציווה לכתוב, וכן צורך שישמעו מפיו. Can I use the word, relatively speaking? Balabatish? It's prose, it's not poetry. Chazanish adds, you need she's achtu etzona bava sofa v'edim b'shachas. That's a little more poetic. Okay? This is the Rav Moshe. So I have Rav Moshe in front of me. It's very nice. I'm going to try to prove that Rav Moshe is right. How can I prove he's right? Well, one way, according to the Ramban. But there's a Ramban elsewhere. Which we'll see. They didn't have that Ramban elsewhere. That's amazing. But let's go slow. Kuf Yud Zayin. Writes as follows. Davar Chodesh. Moshe calls it a Davar Chodesh. The din emonos ha'edim who did not Torah lebezin shetzrichen nodon apiem. For einam etam sheshnei edim heida Torah sheyev shishakru cholom shishchayav la'amina. Kevin shetzrichen nodon v'im nistarach davka sheyev vaday gam lo yeh zeh af v'kama edim. Chit shetorah shishchayav lodon api shnei edim shenostam koach kol and emonos shebe'olam. Trei kameya. Finished. There's nothing greater than that. That's bestin. But I'm not mechuyev to listen to edim. No. I don't have to be them. I don't have to believe them at all. Period. The Ramban says, "Kemesh eksivas hasov v'edim lishmah no din shel bezin no din shel atzmon. Ein aleim chiyuv lahamen af lahar b'edim. L'chein efshel hasov v'edim lo yaminu b'liban le'edim. Shebolem shabal tziv lichtov lachtem geb. V'yis bo shemos sheker. Shos af im kosav v'chosel lishmah lo nechshel lishmah. Tohu kibelo tziv yabal. Which doesn't work. L'chein. Afim aminim lo'edim shabal tziv lehem lichtov lachtem lo nechshel v'diyosem yabal atzmo. And the mitzad atzon sherotzim laminam. The efshel she's battled the menusam she ishtana datan kishechad yasbel lehem sheyefshel shirtzel the garsha. L'chein lo nechshel lishma aksha aminim lehem. That's where that's the lashon of the Ramban. Shani get the kaven shabina lishma ubina nami v'kosav lo. Koloma shichtevenu abal ein asof edim chos b'mokon balak shomipiv. Pirish the kaven the bina lishma v'lo kal lishma the shar dvorim shetzorach lishma the stomach lishma omen. No, Hocha bina nami v'kosav lo shekhtevenu habal to below ze lo havi lishmo the stomach lav lishmo me l'chein ksivas acher nechshel l'shem habal el ksivas habal bi'atzmo gam shel acher im shama mipiv mamish she'oz osa bevade apitziv habal havi lishmo ksivas habal bi'atzmo. Okay, so we have two conflicting pshatim. I called one of them prose, one of them poetry. How am I to prove that Rav Moshe is right? How can I prove right? You know how I prove he's right? He says over here, not a book in the Ramban's, but he tells me to look. So let's take a look in the Ramban on Chav Gimel, Amar Aleph. Mitzvah l'shmo divrei chachamim. Watch this. Iyu tzorach lemichtave o shlucha o shukamoso. Famina nami beperakis kabel. That's the Gemara of Samar Gimel Amud Beis. Harid ave korlin afto am Rav Yitzchak asu enish tichusan. So laz alam Kisvu. Famina nami mininu. Mila meson l'shliach kabek sivas aget. Vika lemeimar. Kulu lavdavka misham shlichus. Ella mishum she'eno lishma ad sheyom lem ksovu shani rotzel legarsha avam kosu me'atzmon ein zu ksiva l'shem gerishin klal. Now here's the punchline: Sharei einon yodin im yigarshena. It's a lack of knowledge. Einon yodin, a lack of knowledge. What do you mean I don't know? So one could say that we don't know because he may write the get and decide to put it in his pocket. But at least it's along the lines of Rav Moshe, Einam Yodim. They're missing something. They don't know everything. They don't know everything. And footnote 464 says, Eina Yediyah at Yishmu Pi Abal. And that's what the Ramban means in Naf Samach Vav. 464 is like a Moshe. You don't know, right? But fascinatingly, the question becomes, how come nobody quoted this Ramban? Everyone was totally with this Shaila, and no one quoted this Ramban. The answer is in footnote 461. Mikan muva kefi shemofia b'hashmotas b'sofa mesech. I guess they didn't have the hashmotas. Otherwise, someone would have quoted this. This is gold. You have to assume they just didn't have it.
Isn't the Chazonish L'Shitosoi that he didn't want to hear about more recent undiscovered manuscripts and so forth? If we didn't have it, he would buy space on that.
You're saying that even if he had it, he wouldn't have accepted it. I don't know this hashmata where it came from. It could have been it was there all along. I can't answer that question. I don't know. I do not know. Sounds like Ratzarah, like Rav Moshe. Now, there may be another proof to this from another Ramban. Ayin Aleph Amud Beis. A third Ramban. The Gemara, let's open the Gemara before the Ramban and see the Gemara. Here we go. The Gemara on Ayin Aleph and Beis talks about Omer Imru, etc., etc., etc. The most conclusion is already Ayin Beis and Manav, it's before the Mishnah. What does it say? Tanya Kavasa the Rav Ashi, Katav Sofa Lishmah v'Chismu Edel Lishmah v'Pisha Kisvu v'Chasmu v'Nasnu Lo v'Nasnu is a get bottle at Yishmu Kolo Sheyom al Sofa Laksov Edel Naksomu Yishmu Lafuki Mimandamar Mod Rab Yossi be'Omer Imru. Okay, but here's the key line: V'Kolo Lafukim Rav Kahana Amarav. What's Kahana Amarav? What's Rav Kahana Amarav? What does it say? Rav Kahana Amarav. I now at the top line. Cheresh sheyochol ledaber mitoch haksav kol svin v'nostin get liyishto. So we want to think that ksav works. No, v'lafuke. The ksav does not work. Says the Ramban. Mefurish b'tosvis. He quotes the Tosfos over here in other places. Tosfos Rosh, etc., etc. The keva de mimatini mitoch aksav the cherish. Haine mishum the data shagishtahi. Aval bori shesholach ksav emdina sayam. Kisvu tnu get lishti umekuyam. Kosvin v'nosnin v'lobinan shmir mi piv mamish. Hey, this is the Ramban. Umikomakom kolo lav dafka ta'ika hakona sarosh temasnisin. That's hakona so you nod your head. That works. And then Mefurish Mishnah. Uvishami amuhi shmias hakol hi hakona sarosh. It's the same thing. You nod your head. You want him to get? Yes. You nod your head. It's the same thing as if you said it with your own mouth. What's most impressive, though, is that he quotes the Tosfos that says, you don't ishmi piv mamish, because even ksiva is going to work. He says it beferish. Simple reading is that he said it and he held that way. There were those who are going to say, he quoted it but didn't hold that way. Really? Say so. Say so. I mean, it's just weighty matters over here. Pashtus is that he holds that way. We'll see later how this is so critical. Whether he held that way, didn't hold that way. The Pshat in the Ramban. Obviously, it's according to Rav Moshe, it's good. Right to Rav Moshe. You see, it's Tzav Yad, Mekuyim. You know for sure. You know for sure. It says ksav yad. Again, you can argue what the Mekuyim is up to Eidim. All right, but it's not just to Eidim; it's his handwriting. So maybe he knows the handwriting along those lines. Fine. Good. Now we come to the following. Listen carefully, please. On that Ramban, look again. Borish sholach samim dinas hayam kisvu tnu gel ishtim mekuyim kosim v'nosim lo b'in shmir piv mamish. This is a footnote 24. Harashba v'tosos harosh b'shem Rabbeinu Tam kosu t'mei tosefta perek beis halacha yud mashma t'bepikeach lo mahanik ksav yodo atzorch shishim piv. Whoa, that's going to be bad news, right? He's saying it works against the tosefta. Uvedavka b'nishtatek mo'ila harkona o mishum darkona adifa de mara begufo o mishum de b'nishtatek ekilu shum diyev sheb'ninacher. And the Sefer Truma says in the Ramah the bar lo mo ksiva kemucha b'suga didan. Varan says roy lahachmir. Now roy lahachmir means roy lahachmir doesn't mean if you're a pinch. So here we have a big machlokas about ksiva. You have a tosefta, which seems to be against enough of the Ramban. Hey, how can that be? How can that be? A tosefta. Now, why should it work? According to the Igros Moshe, we understand why it might work. We can understand it based on a different word, a logical word, HaEzer. You need a direct tzivui. If I tell someone else to do it, it's an indirect tzivui. Doesn't work. But if I write it down and send it to you, what that shliach is doing, you know what we call that? A ma'isa kof bi'alma. I write it down, write the get. Shoo, I'm too lazy to go schlep and find you when you're 10 miles away. I send a kof, a drone, I don't know, Amazon, a message boy, whatever it is. However you learn, that's a kof. It's really considered to be direct. That could be. The Gemara seems to say, the Ramban is talking, and Chav Gimel is talking about mili. Just to see it one more time, the Ramban and Chav Gimel that we saw before. The context is always important. Watch. He starts with the Torah Hushia Godol Al Gabav. That's how it starts. Then Avnei Shlichus. How can it be? Haino Ni Shlichus. Kosar Achmad v'Kos Havamina Limutei Haid Lav Iyu Kosav Le. Alma Iyu Tzorg LeMichtei Shlucha Shukamoso. And it says in the mili memson the shliach kebik sibas again. So that's thrown into the mix. If he's just trying to prove that you possibly might need shlichus, and he says lav davka shlichus. That famous line, "Ein Lishmah Yom Lemu Ksova Shani Rosa L'Garsha." So I think the pshat I'm suggesting is certainly a valid interpretation, right? Not exactly the same as the Chazon Ish, not exactly the same as Rav Moshe. All right, so it could be a whole bunch of pshatim within the Ramban. But again, the simple read the Ramban holds that ksiva would work. It's a simple read. What the Ramban says, he quotes the Tosfos, Bashab Shap, and we don't find that he disagrees. That's critical. Now he did the Beis Shmuel Zayin, let's now turn to the Beis Shmuel Ches. The Mechaber says again, Sifhei, I feel the cost of Ksav Yoda L'Sofa Sheichtu Leim She'achtem Lo Yichtavu doesn't work. Pikeach doesn't matter. There's a sugya in the Gemara Daf Ayin Beis. What? The Brisa says, "Get bottle at Shishmu Kolo." Lafuke Rav Kana Damachere She'enu Shomea Ve'enu Bedaber V'Yochel Daber B'Toch Aksav Kosin V'Nosin Get Liishto Al Piksavo B'mata brisa dino the Rav Kahana. Period. Uvemasnisin nishtatek v'hirkin b'rosh arei elichtu v'yitnu. We're not going to be brisa. B'mai dino de masnisin. Sfila la Rambam. Tashani cheresh ena shomea ve'ena medava nishtatek. Ena b'mai al cheresh v'lo nishtatek. Fizeh kosav v'hirkin ksav v'hirkin shovin. Nishtatek the yochel legarish ayde hirkeno yochel legarish al pik savo. V'cheresh ena yochel legarish lo pik savo lo pik hirkeno. Upikeach. We're talking about pikeach. That's what we're concerned about. Yesh omim the yochel legarish al pik savo v'hirkeno. Base says according to the Rambam. V'yesh omim and the yochel legarish al pik savo v'hirkeno. V'tosis v'rosh v'rashma v'shaposkim svirlehu. Hirkin other miksav shum the ma'ase beguf hu kamo kol shemach lo mamat dino the masnisin and mamat ksav yodo lefizeh bish shtatek upikeach lo mahanik ksav v'aget botel kamo shekosav v'braisa hanal. That's a problem. Now, I read you the Rosh Pina on the bottom. Second. Haget Batel. After Tosas filled the Chashash Lishmah and Rakbad Rabbanon, he says Befarit back in Sivkot and Lefnezeh. Kan Batel. Wow. That's what he says. Lefizeh. Im Kosu v'nishtatek o pekech have a Sfeika Doraisa. It's a machlokos Rishonim. They just said it's a sfeika d'oraisa. Some say it's good, and some say it's no good. Period. So we're left in the trouble. And he quotes a Tosefta, Tana Haget Puzzle. But some say we don't pass like Tosefta, and the Safik Megureshes. B'mokat Migun, Yesh L'Hakal. For Tzarachim. Because Dr. Moshe quotes that we make a Mokat Migun, that works by the Rabbanans. He doesn't understand, since he holds it's Achshasha da Oraisa, how can it be? How can it be? How can it be? Okay, fine. So we're left now in a little bit of trouble, because Ksiva seems to be, according to the Beis Shmuel, a Safek da Oraisa. A Safek da Oraisa. But what the truth is, that this Tosefta, we should first read it from the Tosefta proper, then we're going to see a Yerushalmi. And everything's going to hang in this Yerushalmi. First see a Tosefta. Kasab b'ksav yodo l'sofer ksov v'leidem chsomu afal pisha kasvu v'chasmu v'nasula pasul at sheyishmu es kolo sheyomar hu l'sofer v'leidem chsomu. The word pasul usually depends. Sometimes the word pasul means the Rabbanan as opposed to bottle, but I don't know if you can make that diak over here. Unless of the Tosefta, I'm not sure. Fine. So what's this Yerushalmi? Everything hangs on the Yerushalmi. Hanilam Pshat in the Yerushalmi. Pri Chodesh quotes the Yerushalmi. Quotes the Yerushalmi. I should really show it before I open the Yerushalmi. If I can find it in this lengthy Pri Chodesh, it would be nice. Sivkot and Yud Zayin. The whole page. Oh. here? Pichorash Yud Zayin. Ksav Ksav Yodo. Quotes the Gemara we just saw before that the Beis Shmuel quoted. Kolo lafukim bid Rav Kana dama cheresh shachol dama v'toch haksav kol sin v'nos get liyishto. What about medaber v'ena shomeya? What's it in? Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. There are two simultaneous issues over here on both sides. One is the effectiveness of ksiva, and two is the mental status of the cheresh. A cheresh can be mentally impaired and not able to get involved. These two things, watch this. Listen carefully. Oh, what does it say? There's no question about his mental status. He was a pikech. Never lost the ability to speak. So he writes, Ksav Yodo. Fragt the Gemara from the Tosefta. Ksav Yodo. Omer Sofer Chaz Ve'enu Chasomo. V'shechaz V'chavu Noslo V'chazu Noslo. Eino Get. He has the Girsa Eino Get. We have the Girsa Puzzle. Let's open the Yerushalmi proper and see what the true Girsa is. It's the 7th parak of Gittin. I read it from the Yerushalmi proper. Tani, Cheresh Toram Ein Trumas Truma. What's going on? Toram is apparently a question of the mental state, no? What's Machshava? Rashi ben Gamliel, Hamedra Amurim Shaya Cheresh Mitchiloso. Because in those days we assumed if he couldn't, before what they call it in Vienna, that the Rashash quotes in Gittin, before the school in Vienna, before Helen Keller, if you were born, you couldn't hear or speak, you couldn't have any intelligence. Rashi ben Gamliel said so. Rav Yaakov bar Achab bar Abchia bar Reshem Rabbi Yochanan Chalukin Alashona Zed Amora and Masnisin Pliga. It's a bit Bryce against Nischaresh who Onishtate and Emotzi Olamas. V'yichtov Yekayim Acherin Ksav Yodo Kaimine B'She'eno De'el Lichtov. But it's against the Brisa. Our Brisa. Kosav Ksav Yodo V'Yamal Asov V'Kosav V'Eden L'Choma V'Fishe Ksavu V'Chasmu V'Nastul V'Kosav V'Nechastulom Eino Get. Not puzzle. Achish Mukolo. So the Rishabah goes on and says, Achish Muskolo. Hikin Rosho. No. He Shmias Akol. He Akonas Rosh. Because the body moves, the lips move, or the head moves. It's all the same thing. 3 times, da-da. Sounds like the Yerushalmi is questioning the original din from an Af and a Tosefta. So how do you read this? What's the bottom line? That's what we have to talk about. Okay, everyone with me so far? So first we're going to see an HaEzer, how he learns Pshat, and then we're going to see how others learn Pshat. First, I should just give the standard Perushim on the Rishalmi are both the Korban HaEder and the Pnei Moshe. Okay? I'll read you first. The first came Korban HaEder. Avol im hoya pikeach shen lomad lichto midas tzlula kosev get v'acherim chosmin umekaimin ksav yodo. Why is that so important? Mekaimin ksav yodo. Mekaimin ksav yodo. Because it's mekaimin ksav yodo, it's obvious he didn't sign it in front of the sofa. If I sign in front of the sofa, I don't need a kiyum. Kiyum shouldn't be mezuyif. I sign right in front of you. So what do you see from this? That it's a ksiva shalom b'fanav and it works. The way the Ramban quoted from Tosfos. It's Yerushalmi. We'll see an alternative pshat which is going to turn everything upside down. Okay. So back to the Avnei Nezer. This is in Siman Kuf Nun Vov Sivkot Yud Gimel. Yesh the fact with the Das Riyaz, the Ksiva Mahani L'Shlichus, Ach Zeh Kishashliach Roa Kishakosef. Ach Shemaman Shliach B'Mokom Acher B'Chsav Choshev Minu Shlo B'Fonav Shalom Mahani. And many posts come all that way. So the question is going to be, how's it going to help? Are they also about Peh Gamken Ashliach? Kevin Ash Isa Mishum Lo B'Fonav. Is that Bein B'Chsav Bein B'Al Peh? In other words, the whole beautiful idea of the Maremi Brisk, which we started, is pointless. He wants to make kind of sveka. Number one, maybe Ksiva works. Number two, Minish Lo B'Fonav works. He's saying it's Hatalia. It's only one suffix. That's the tremendous kasha that the Avnei and Kuf Nevavi asked against the Maremi Brisk. No. Nira Lochiach Menai Rishalmi. This is Yudalid. The Ein B'Minu Shliach B'Shem B'Mokom Acher Adeksav Psul Mishum Shelo B'Fonav. If Koshlo B'Chosa B'Fonav, Koshakam Koshlo Lo B'Fonav. The Mavur Sham the Rashbag Cheresh Kosa L'Ksav Yad V'Acherem Mekayim Ksav Yodo. Agamara says Chachamim don't hold like Rashbag. Why? Ksiva Lav Kedibur. It's a Cheresh from the beginning. Ula Poslim Gamet Pikeach Tzvilu came in the Lav Kedibur Gamet Pikeach Puzzle. Umir Rashbag and Raya LaHachshir Ozla Tamei Dafilu B'Cheresh Kosher. It's Ksiva Kedibur. It's Hor B'Hotayir Abosai. The Rashbag who says that Ksiva is Kedibur means someone who's able to write, by definition, is not a Cheresh, because he can speak. Ksiva is Kedibur. Achem Noma the Minish Liach Shabbamokom Acher Posel Mishum Shelo B'Fonav can gam the Rashbag to Kedibur Dami Yivso against the Ran of the Ra. V'yev Shalom ad Bekosi B'Fnei HaShliach Timkein Lo Malikim Ksav Yodo. He's standing right in front of him. This is the most important line of the whole Chabura today. Is this line? Ella the Ein B'Minu Shliach Shabbamokom Acher B'Ksav Psul Mishum Shelo B'Fonav. Why? One of two reasons. Oh, the Shelo B'Fonav Ba'al Peh Kosher, that's a Rav Aran. Oh, the Sholech Ksav of HaShliach Roez HaKsav Choshev B'Fonav Kedas Ramban. I used to read the Ramban before. Ramban was against the Ra and the Ran, and yet he holds Ksav works. Quotes from Tosfos, doesn't disagree. Ubed the Rashbag Nishma l'Rabbanon the B'Holo Pligi. That didn't argue about. What are they fighting about? Tanakam Ksiva Lav Kedibur. To me, high time of post Rabbanon B'Cheresh B'Chol Inyan. I feel the cost of B'Fnei HaShaliach. Ava B'Zeh Lo Matzona Machloikes. V'Shabem Nilma Midei Rashbag Shabi Rishami. The Ein B'Minu Shliach Sheb'Mokom Acher Psul Mishum Shelo B'Fonav and Lona Livsol Minu Shliach B'Chsav Rak Mishum HaPoskim Ksiva Afilu B'Fonav Lo Mahani. V'M also Shliach Ba'al Peh Gam Kein Tzorah L'Tzarv Das HaPoskim Lo Mahani Shliach Shlo B'Fonav Ein Lona Litvus Kol HaChumas K'Lagan Ezu Kein Nirali. How do you like that? Back and forth. Ad kan. Now we understand the tzir of Shichus Ba'al Peh with the Ksav. It's not. This is the Maremi Brisk quoted by the Piskei Tshuva. It's not just it works according to the Avnei Pshat and Yerushalmi. It's hard to argue with Avnei Pshat and Yerushalmi, right? It's beautiful. Terrific. Fantastic. Oh. So far, so good. Fine. Ad kan Avnei Nezer. Now, I'm going to introduce to you a piece which was printed by Moreno Rabbeinu of Zalman Nechemia Goldberg a long time ago in something called Beis Aaron V'Yisrael. I think that's a stolen thing. Give you you want to look it up? Shana Tes Gilyon Av Mem Tes in parentheses. So I'm reading to you what Rav Zalman Nechemia wrote. He's going to say the Avnei Nezer's pshat and the Chazon Ish's pshat. According to Avnei Nezer, as we just read inside, Rashbag and Chachamim argue Gittin one thing. If Cheresh and a Shomea and a Medaber, Av Yodea Lichtov, Chol the Rashbag, Ksiva Kedibur, he's a Pikeach. According to Chachamim, Ksiva not Kedibur, it's called a Cheresh, Shaita. That's number one. That's the Bavli. The Rishalmi, they're fighting about two things. One, Ksiva Kedibur, Shechoshev Kecheresh and Medaber. That's relevance for Truma too. Two, Im Ksiva Kedibur in Minu Shlichus Ayadei Ksiva. Shedas Rashba Ksiva Kedibur V'Nasa Shliach Udas Chachamim Ksiva Lav Kedibur V'Nasa Shliach. So far so good. Goes together. Aval Yesh Den Shlishi Shlishi Mirashba Sheniten Lemano Shliach Ksiva Saget Shalo B'Fnei HaShliach. Not only in his presence, even not in his presence. Davar Zalamanu Mash Omer Ashbag Shecherish Kosev V'Acherim Mekaimin Al Yodo. Shemoel Gam Shalo B'Fnei Sofer, as Avnei Nezer said. V'Tam Adavar Shemoel Shalo B'Fnei Shliach. One of two. We saying over the Avnei Nezer. We used to say, "Oh Sheksiva Adifa Mi Dibur Shalo B'Fnav Came Shiro Asovas Ksivas Yoda Shalabal." Oh. Shemuchach shegaminu shlo b'fnei hasofer adek sav moel to lo Ramban. For adin hashlishi lo matzinu shecholkin chachamim. Chachamim are only arguing by a cheresh, but this third din that a bari can be manish lo b'fanav, there's no machlekes on this. L'chen muchach shekosher ksiva shlo b'fnei shliach laposum shekos and get al pi ksav abal in front of him, works even not in front of him. Kol should be careful on the stat. On the static. Period. This is his proof. Sounds like it's an ironclad proof. I mean, the Avnei Nezer basically said it, but it was Avnei Nechemim explain it more. Das Chazanish, no. Sherashbag la'omer ele beis dinim. One, shekosev domer ledibur, chen cheresh hakosev dinik epikeach. Two, shekosher lemanos shliach shelo befonov bein bichsav bein bepeh. Rashbag holds like the Ra'ah and the Ran. V'das chachamim sheksiva eino kedibur, eino nechshav kipikeach, v'chein sovrim she'en lemanos shliach shelo b'fnei hasofer bein bichsav bein bepeh, b'fnei hasofer kosher ksiva shikar kona. V'chein the das kol harishonim ha-poskim kechachamim zulas ha-toises shemachshirin ksiva shelo b'fnei hasofer. As we said before, Toises said so. Didn't the Ramban say so beferish too? That's what Toises held. Posen b'achsav b'kosav abal shlo b'fnei hasofer. Period. And therefore it's a disaster. He doesn't like the Pischashul Maremi Brisk. Manias Taiti Koshal Das Chazanish. It's hard to take sides against Chazanish, but he's trying to incline towards the opinion of the Avnei Nezer. According to Chazanish Yosei, Shechacham Rashbag Choken b'machlokas Ramban v'Ra'ah. He just said it. Im yochal anu l'manas shliach l'ksivas aget shel b'fonav. Shirashbag matir b'cheresh hakosev shelo b'fnei hashliach u'kemo shochiach Avnei Nezer mima shekosev cheresh u'shnayim mekayimim harei shegam b'chasam shelo b'fonav matir Rashbag. That's the key line. V'akochas tov v'kesvaras haran. That's means shelo b'fonav works. V'chachamim sovrin kesvaras haramban shelo b'fonav. Period. Ad kan so far. V'kosh hadavar shemaro abraisa lahavi shtei machlokos ben chacham l'Rashbag ben kesher beinayim shvil l'mano shliach shlo b'fonav hamachlokos gam b'mina b'fiv u'mamokom lahavi machlokos begavna shekosa b'ksav yodo v'odav lahavi machlokos b'mina b'peh shlo b'fonav bishlam ne'nez l'kosher l'mal hevi shtei machlokos achas and cheresh she'en b'daber elakosim dina b'kech beis and moel mina shliach shlo b'ksav ef shalomar shetei machlokos hem yishoresh echad im ksiva kedibur or ksiva and a kedibur. And there's something missing here in this Lefi Dvarav Chazanish. The shnei halachos ein shnei halachos ela shebecheresh hakosev shedinu b'kech v'manash shech b'ksav tluim zeh b'zeh. So what's going on? He's not happy with this. Ad kan. Fine. Uvi Yoser, says Reb Zalman Nechemia. Shramban asok dato kedasa toisvis sheyochol lichtov b'medina sayam v'sover sheyichtov. So it's mamish QED. It's checkmate. Checkmate. So now, Rav Zalman Nechemia's conclusion: Sheget shesuda lefnei fi kisvu tnu shekasav abal lesofer v'gamina b'peh shelo b'fonav shel hasofer. The das HaChazon Ish kosher aget the das HaTosfos sheviu harishonim arashva v'od the tiras echad barosh Rabbeinu Yerucham Ramban Mechi Ramban Miri Rama Ra'am shel b'fonav rishonim. But the poslim are the second there is a rush. He's rattling off some Chazon Ish quotes the Ran Chitza, who's posel, who's not posel. Fine. It's okay. Fine. He rattles them off. Within the poslim, some say it's the Rabbana, some say it's Tavuk the Raisa, some the Raisa. We saw it already in the Beis Shmuel. Oshidas Maram Padaba Avnei Nezer Yosef Ein Af Dea Ben Arishonim HaPoslim Asu Gaminu Shlo B'Fonav V'Gam B'Chsav. Machshim Bavadi rattles off a whole bunch of things. Whole bunch of things. Then he says, "Tas Chazon Ish Sheksav Yad Habal Lo Odev Mimina Shliach Shelo B'Fonav." Right, that Ksav Yad is no better. Lo Matzoni Sheyom Asvarazu B'Shum Afarish Lo Rishon Lo Achron, etc., etc. Ad Kan Rav Zalman Nechemia. So I always thought, how can you argue with this? Till I saw that when I was trying to get, I wanted to get an email version of this, so I could maybe share with the Talmidim. My main reason I thought it was a mistake in the line. I thought maybe they would be corrected, which it wasn't corrected. But I found out that Rav Shlomo Fisher, who was the colleague of Rav Zalman Nechemia on the Bezdin Yuchad Lagunas in Yerushalayim HaKodesh, disagrees with his learned colleague. I wouldn't have known about it except looking at the online version, because Rabbi Shapiro Shlita couldn't find it. This was never put online, but there's a sefer called Ohel Leah. Ohel Leah apparently was printed by Rabbi Shlomo Fisher in memory of his Rebbetzin, and he quotes this long tshuva of Zalman Nechemia, and he wrote this tshuva to put it b'koras Arbeis and Yisrael ach lebesof lo pirisuma. My guess, he's such a friend of Zalman Nechemia that I didn't want to write such a strong rebuttal at the time. The malas kvod marechas kovas HaEzer Am Yisrael. Begin mem tes serach hagon of Zalman Nechemia Goldberg that Lishmah on Divri Marim Padua Pischei Tshuva Yud Chesed. We have started this. Shnei Dvarim. Right? You do two things. Yemana b'peh hasofer shlo b'fneihem. Zeh kosher the raw and the ran, and you want to ksav yad, which is Uteya and Sifhei. Now, the HaEzer said so. Now, I gotta take me time to just read it. But it's worth reading. Hagoin Shlita means Rav Zalman Nechemia. Davar Chodesh. Marim Padava said it's only what Shurfa Shitas, Svek some call it. Svek Schazik Yisura. You don't say Svek Schazik Yisura. Well, Sveka Didina Ena Chazaka Magaras. It's Svek Gimel Svekes, okay. But Avnei HaEzer, it's Meruvach Tvei. Kulahachar Beis Chumas Yachad have the Trei Chumas Sasri Adadi. What is Yisod? The Rashbag, Rabbana Nechlu, Iksiva Kedibur. Rashbag, Ksiva Kedibur. That's what he says over there. Cheresh Yochel Adab Torah. Therefore, it's good. Good. Pikei Gomorrah. Rabbana say no. He's a Cheresh. That's Yerushalmi and Trumas and Gittin. The Rashbag, Kosev Acherem Mekayim Ksav Yodo. Rashbag l'tamei d'ksiva kedibur Shabbos shal asal aminay d'ksiva. According to Rabban, d'ksiva kedibur doesn't work. Akopana l'madim d'kedibur Rashbag shamash kosev achem mekayim al yodo. Ta'ina shemekayim ksav yodo d'marish kosev shelo b'fnei asal b'vaedim. Has to be. And we don't find Rabban in the argument. Here's a typo himself. L'ashkan de pligi Rabbeinu means Rabbanan. Im kain gam heimodim b'ikar adin ilu oya adin d'ksiva kedibur. Hemo minish lo b'fneim. Akorcha chatam hu chadam mitrei. Or ksiva is better than dibur shlo b'fanav because the sofer sees it ksav. Or like the Ran. Some pikeach man asova ve'edim shlo b'fneim gam ksav yoda v'gam dibur b'mana shel mahanim. Yeah, ad kan. Other achronim didn't say like the Avnei HaEzer said. And Hagon Shlita, the Rav Zalman Nechemia says that Noda Behuda didn't say that way. Didn't say that. Vasvar is a pshuta. Okay. Pshuta ma'od. Why? Why isn't that Haba Hatalia? L'inyan cheresh kol anidun hu emaksiva mochich al tzlilus dat olo. Uma ze in l'sheila hadinis halacha question im ksiva chashiva v'halacha kedibra olo. It's not Haba Hatalia. Ulepela al agon shlita shebechol arichas dvarav lo hiske klalas pirusho hanochon shel ridvaz sham b'Yerushalmi. Rabosai, who are the classics? We know the classics are the Korban Eda and the Pnei Moshe. Rav Zalman Nechemia is a classicist. Why they quote the Pirush Hanochon shel ridvaz? It turns out they're upside down. Either he didn't notice it, or he didn't bother saying it. We don't. Ridvaz lived in the 20th century. We're gonna follow him against all the classic Mefarshim. But the Ridvaz is brilliant. I can't deny that it's brilliant, and he has an interesting diuk which other poskim the classics didn't hold from. I'll read you his words. I mean, I can read it from here, but its print is smaller. It's smaller print. The page Lamed Tes in the Vilna Yerushalmi. I'm just reading. The print is bigger. Watch. Tani cheresh etarmen trumas truma. Or mashbag hamed ramurim becheresh mitchilaso. Alam pikeach v'nischaresh kosev v'acherem mekayim ksav yodo. For who? What does it mean? It says the Ridvaz against the Korban Eda, against the Pnei Moshe. Kimo de Garsina b'tosefta mefureshes. Rashbag Omer Ezu cheresh echoresh mitchilaso. Alam pikeach shenischaresh hu torem. Listen carefully. V'heim mekayimim al yodo. Al yodo. Not ksav yodo, al yodo. Al yodo. Mekayim al yodo pirusho, omer al gabov. Nothing to do with a kiyum shtaris. If it's kiyum shtaris, it can't possibly be that he signed it in his presence, because then he knows he don't need a kiyum shtaris. It's not kiyum shtaris at all. Mekayim al yodo means he's teaching him to be intelligent. There's no stars by Truma. Wow! It knocks out the raya of the HaEzer. Now the HaEzer proved that Ksiva Shalom fund of works because before you don't Ksav Yodo. You don't keep Ksav Yodo. A whole new shot knocked the whole thing out. It's a knockout punch if you're willing to accept this. But there's still one punch left with Rav Willig.
And the traditional Mefarshim just
they never heard the Ridvaz.
No, I'm saying that but why would they not hold of that deal?
I don't know. I'll read you. I can only read you from here. Watch. V'chena b'truma torim b'achem mekayim al yodo v'ochi isha b'tos hedi b'tos sefta per kama de trumos. And here he says, "Kosev begin b'chsav yodo v'achem mekayim ksav yodo." It's all in the same Pnei Moshe, the same sentence. Apparently, he understands that although the two are not really the same, doesn't make a difference. Even the Korban Eda was more of a classic. We spoke about that in different contexts. Shalom and lichtov midas slula kosev get v'achem tchosen umekayim ksav yodo. This is a classic. These are the classics. So then, Rabbi Shlomo Fisher quotes the Chazon Ish that the Yerushalmi explained the Brisa of B'cheresh B'pikeach Ein the Indian Hoder Rashbag. That's exactly the point that Rav Zalman Nechemia was bringing. That's fair. No, he bites the bullet. Yesh Rashbag Ari B'shad Dvarim Lo Beget Over Kosev Get B'yasmo Ein Lo Nemocha Livso Sholech Ksav Yodo. And the Shura Korban Eses Kasha. B'svara and lahachshadek ksav yosim iminu shlo b'fonav fishes b'Ramban. His shot in the Ramban. Poetry. His poetry. It's not going to work. But the problem is the Ramban himself quotes from Tosfos. The borish hasholach ksavim b'dinas hayam kisvu v'tnu get l'ishti kosim v'nosin lo borish mimi p'mamish. Akochot esfirlein Tichsav yodo odef mimunish befiv shelo beponav. Upelach hazanish shu hiske cloud the Ramban elu. So Rav Zalman Lechem still wins. Here, I think of Shlomo is on. In some ways, he's on the defensive both, because Rav Zalman Lechem has a classic ceremony of Shama at his side, and he has the Ramban at his side. So what does he say? Emes Yeradaka. The Ramban Divrei HaTosos Kamar v'lei lo svirulei. V'shema nechta behetik sof dvorav shekos v'jadat olachlok. Hey, come on. That's already... But then he says something which is powerful. V'rei b'ferusha wal arif kosav k'divrei Rashba d'bezosef d'mashma shelo k'divrei HaTosfos. Hizdim kain royal lahachmir. There's a dvorav sosun says there. Kokamash kasafti. No. It's royal lahachmir, but Mika Radin is Mekel. So therefore, even though I just discovered this significant other opinion, I still think that Zalman Nechem's opinion should be enough to carry the day. But then he has a final, I wouldn't call it a jab. I'll call it a jab of Shlomo Fisher. You tell me what you think about this jab. Hagon Kosev. Das Chazanish sheksav yad habal lo odet mimina shliach befonav lo matzonish yom svarazu b'shum meforish lo rishon v'lo achron. He says v'shachach divrei yasmo shekosav kodol lechen b'samel yashashir Chazanish al Aram tadakara shenitin lemanos shasov v'edim shlo b'fneihem v'lo yigra ksav yodo miminu shalo b'fneihem u'ba'kochach shel limnos ksav. He himself said it. The Nicholai, I feel the hard. Yeah, he meant that no one else said it before me. To say Pshat Chazanish, but no one else said it for real. But one final jab. No, yeah, be patient. Two more jabs. The Gons wrote Tosis Gitnaf Ayin Beis and Aleph Timachal Kolo Lafugun Rav Kahana Kosuv is Elashona. From Tomar Amaynaka be Rav Kahana. Mimas nisin namin name asa lafuke to machsheres hakona below kol. You should say kol lafuke the Mishnah. Not only the Tosefta. The food the Mishnah. How can hakona work? It's no kol. Eshloma. The mistaba the hakona the masnisin mani kamo kol. Came in the kimlan the misratze lo beinon shmias hakol. Kamo ten gets eli ishti. Imhoya schus lo hoya yochol lachzabo. V'yafal pi she'eino meres klum, keven shehi misratza b'lo shmias kola. V'nire she'tosus savri she'pikeach she'kosav b'ksav yodo kosher v'lo gora me'arkona. And Rashba said, the Tosfos she'pikeach moel ksiva, kamos the Tosfos zeh. Says Reb Shlomo Fisher. Upele she'shum echad min ha'achronim lo hirgish b'kach. Lo tzin the Tosfos zeh. The footnote of the Ramban quoted a Tosfos a Rosh, not this Tosfos. For me, Tosfos Rosh is good enough. He quoted a bunch of Tosfos and said that. Just not didn't quote our Tosfos. Yeah, and after the Goyin was marked, this Tosfos Vidarko, based on the Nezer, he wants to know Lama Omer Imru Enamo beget Nachshimudin Zechia. And he goes back and forth. Comes a Pella. No, Poskim didn't say Tosfos like they were on the run. It's no right at all. Then he said, Tzchiyah Shlichus. Okay. Maybe Tosfos holds, Imrim was puzzled, Mishnah was also puzzled, like the Ramban, as the Chazanish explained, and when Tosfos ended, with Raisa the Nokar Ashishmenu Kolo, Lo Shonel Mutei Cheresh Rav Kahana, Hainu, Dimiteves Kolo, Matim Cheresh Rav Kahana. Enochinami, Dimitevos Achishnu, Darmina Lafuke Mi Omer Imru, Han Lafuke Kulu Gavne Shlo Befonov, Hein Be Omer Imru Rav Datchem, Hein Be Omer Imru Leplon, Hein Be Omer Imru Leplon, Shanim Nisim, Hein Be Manai Deksav. Whatever. Here's his final jab. Hurry of a Gdol Hielai. Him call Inyan Aminu B'Chsav Yusuf Al Din Ksiva the Kedibur. Kain Vadai Tzarech. Listen to what he says. I don't think anyone agrees with him. She Yichtov Habal Ba'asvu L'Shon Aminui. Lashon Shulchan Aruch Sheyichtov the sofik so will edem chasomo. Look at Moshe no again. I brought with me a Kisvu document from my bezdin, which you don't like to give out, but it's here.
I don't really like to get it.
You can look at it. Yeah. The Kol HaNusach Uksav Yedei HaAcher, it's typed. Barak Chosem. Heren yesh kan ksiva kedibur. V'im toma mesiras aksav kedibur, ken lama lo lachtam klal. Come on. If you sign it and give it over, it's much more than if you just give it over without signing it. I'm just giving you a piece of paper. What kind of cash is this? Umitunach, otu b'chever sheyochol lachtam shmor sagi lichoshek pikeach. I think Abraham Nechem would say yes. I think so.
Baal wrote it himself.
No. The case of Shulchan Aruch, Baal wrote it himself. What we do in every bezin in the world that was Kisvu Tanu.
I'm talking about you two. He's talking about the Baal writing himself.
No, he is interpreting that the only time is any heter of Kisvu Tanu is that Baal wrote the whole thing out himself. But the Pashma is not that way. No bezin in the world agrees with him. Not one. Slowly, he was the Adam Gadol. Okay. But look what he says. It's twist the knife at the end. If that's true, which no one agrees with in the whole world, to my knowledge. Get kosa b'chol shu yachol u'katzosa manachona shel chakasya v'chazanish u'miyos tov v'gomer. The famous chazanish said, right away, it's ksav meshita, right a little again. You're already forcing him to write the whole thing. He's right, but no bezin in the world forced him to write the whole thing. Who am I to get involved between the Gedolei Olam? I say one thing. Today, we do three things. We do the Marimi Brisk has two things, Minish Lebafonav and Aksav. We have a third thing, Zoom. When you had phones before you had Zoom, so the whole arichas in the phone worked because after all, the phone could be forged. Can you forge a Zoom?
Yes.
Maybe.
Definitely.
So,
Artificial intelligence does it every day of the week.
can artificial intelligence have a different guy walk into the room and it's not him?
Sure.
Yes.
Somebody sent me-
So then they'll get my puzzle.
Somebody sent me the clips today
It's
that.
harder than a phone call, though. It's still harder than a phone call.
It's hard.
It's harder to do than a phone call.
But somebody sent me clips today. They're clearly fictional. They show me a picture that Spock is with AOC telling Captain Kirk something, and it's all AI.
They did it with Trump and that whole other thing.
It's harder to do than a phone call. Forge phone calls is easy. This is harder.
And then Zoom did it.
It seems to me that although there is an opportunity to play both with Zoom and with voices, can also be played with, you put them together, it's a little bit more complicated. The FBI can do it. Any AI can do it. I don't know. You can do it, Rabbi Blach?
If you're holding a conversation, you're asking answers.
Right.
If the conversation back and forth is very hard.
And a conversation back and forth with a video back and forth is
Make
very
sure you ask 3 questions back
right.
and forth.
It's very difficult. Anyway, I leave it. We'll stop here. Okay. What would you like to see?
They have.
You want to see Rav Shlomo Fisher's piece? I'll give it to you.
Zam Nechemi they have online, Rabbi. Have it online notes.
Yeah.
Zam Nechemi they have online.
It's online the same as this. It's in the same.
No, Zam Nechemi and the COVID.
Oh yeah? Could maybe he changed the text? Send that to me. Email it to me. Rabbi Fisher, I'll give it to you. Please pass it to Rabbi Black, Rabbi Fisher's piece. This is Rabbi Fisher's piece.
Where's that from?
Oh, Leah. It says on the Rabbi Shapir sent it.
That's our thought.
Rabbi Shapir sent it to me. And he sent me Rav Zalman Nechemia from Oh, Leah too. But send me Rav Zalman Nechemia. If it's just coming from Pis, it's going to be the same thing with same typo. I can't get it out of one line, but maybe they changed it. Can't hurt to send it to me.
This was the original one from.
This is Zalman Nechemia, which comes from the library. I Xeroxed it years ago. It's many years ago. This. But Shlomo Fisher, wow, he's a Gadol Ma'od. He's those who know how Gadol he was. Can I tell you? Are we off the screen? I'll tell you just a mila de b'dichusa almost. Many years ago, turn it off.